I think it's very difficult to speak when two great speakers have spoken and when the stories are identical. So I need to get another angle of my story to make you guys at least feel that you're getting inspired. And for those who have difficulty speaking English, you can ask me in Dutch after I finish my talk. It's also difficult to speak for 10 minutes, to ask an African to speak for 10 minutes. Because I need 10 minutes to say hello and how are you. But I will skip that. I'm here because of war. Before that, I live in peace. I live with my grandmother. I grew up with my grandmother. She was, for me also, the wisest woman I've ever met in my life. She was not dependent on the local economy. She had a little farm behind the house, and she made food for us. Every day we have to eat. So poverty was, for me, not a question. I didn't feel poor, though we didn't have a lot to eat, but at least we ate every day. And poverty is when you compare with your neighbor, then you feel poor, if the neighbor is rich. But all my friends, kids, we all live the same way. So there's no way I can say I am rich or I am poor. When I came to Europe, I looked back at my past, then I started contemplating that really I was poor. But why should I contemplate poverty? Because I started to compare. So when you compare, you feel poor or you feel rich. Poverty for me was a way of life. And so it's for me not relevant to think of poor or rich. Label, stereotype. I don't work with that. So my grandmother gave me the best in life. She taught me that happiness is not something you cannot have, something beyond your reach. You don't get happiness from it. Happiness is things that you get within yourself, within your reach. When you're satisfied with the little things you have, you can be happy. But when you crave for things beyond your reach, you will never get happy. So that one I took with me. So as I said earlier, I live in peace, tranquility, harmony. We with the nature, we live with our community. We support each other. Extended families, brothers and sisters, nephews, aunts, hundreds of us. We live in that community. And the good thing about the community is that it will bend like a tree, but it will never get broken. In the West, we are dependent on networks. And the difference is that with a network, the network belongs to you. But with community, you belong to the community. So when I came to Holland, I became part of a network. What a network? Like a Twitter and Facebook, you can delete it. You can put yourself out. But with the community, you cannot. You are always part of that community. So when I came to Holland, almost 20 years ago, at that time, you can't imagine. There was no internet. Not for me. No mobile phones. 95 was the time that mobile phones started. And if you had a mobile phone at that time, you will be accused of crime against humanity. Because people were having problems with people having mobile phones, speaking loud. You get used to it. And at that time, no Facebook, no Twitter. So when I came to Holland, that is 20 years ago, we had a lot of refugees from Bosnia, a lot of refugees from Somalia. For me, it's just like a nostalgia, looking back. Because it's exactly what happened 20 years ago that is happening now. A lot of protests, demonstrations against refugees. From my experience, when I was in Drachten in Friesland, our AZC was not welcome. We were not welcomed. Because we had certain ways of behaving, we as refugees, or people from outside. I think people didn't have problems with us being refugees. They had problems with us being different. Because when we walk to the supermarket, I work with 5, 6 colleagues, friends, all men. And for the Dutch, it was very, very much weird. 6, 7 men working together. When we go to the Aldi, because very funny, whenever there's an RZC, there's Aldi. They come immediately. So when you get your money, 70 guildens at that time, the first thing you do, you enter the Aldi. And you give all the money back. So we are used to working in groups. And interacting, what I noticed also is that we had a lot of problems with the people interacting. And I can understand their feelings. Because you imagine, a city not more than 20,000 people. Overnight, they get 1,500 refugees. I can understand that people get shocked. They are not used to call out people. The only people who are happy with us were the girls. At least they can make choices. And the young Dutch boys, they were angry with us. We were like, not welcome. They try to fight us. We don't walk on streets without us being they abuse us, and they had problems with us. So what should you do as a foreigner, migrant? Because we fled from war. And at a certain time, I had a feeling that the things I'm facing in Holland is heavier than the war I fled from. And that was very, very devastating for my own development. And why I'm saying this, because 20 years ago, Somalians and a lot of Bosnians came here. And fortunately for the Bosnians, most of them were highly educated when they came here. The Somalians were not. And instead of receiving refugees, the Somalians were received, but not enough attention was done to make sure that their well-being was being catered for, psychological. They had a lot of problems. And now, 20 years later, I see all over, you see most of them addicted to drugs, or they didn't make it, they're in the welfare system. That negative aspect remains with them. But people from Bosnia, most of them, were able to succeed. And when I look also now what is happening with Syrian refugees and refugees from Eritrea, it's almost the same story. The Eritreans, young boys who need a lot of pushing, a lot of help. And the Syrian refugees, most of them are highly educated. So if we don't do anything, 20 years later, it will be the same story. So when I came here, I knew I needed to do something to fit in the community. I was not accepted, but I need to do something to fit in. So what I did, I started looking for people who can relate with me. And one of the places I went was a church. I was born a Muslim, I grew up being a Muslim, but I needed some place to go. And that was the church. I went to the church, and after church services, I was welcome. They take me to their family, and that's where I learned Dutch very easily. Because I knew at that time there was no Facebook, no Twitter. I need to build a community of people who believe in you. When I have an accident, I know somebody who I can call. Not like your own story when you don't have somebody. Who do I know? You know somebody to call. So I had a church, and I went to volleyball also. It's very weird because they have a volleyball team they call Torfstekers. It's really a local team, and I was the only black guy in that team. And they have shots like this, very short like here. I had a lot of problems with them because I have to wear that short to play, and you see all the players, people, I was not comfortable. And I thought also I need to play football because, football makes us be friends. Even if we are enemies, when we play together, we are brothers. The shots are longer. Yes, the shots are longer. Thank you for that. The shots are longer. So I was more comfortable with football, but also with football. After the football, me and some other friends from my asylum center, we don't want to have shower with all the Dutch people. We are not used to it. So we all just sit on our bicycles and go back to the asylum center. And one day, a Dutch man came to me and said, "But you guys from Africa, you don't wash? You don't take shower?" Then I said, "Of course we take showers, but we are not used to having shower with all of you guys. It's not part of us." He said, "Oh, I know. I know why you guys are hiding from us." So there are a lot of cultural differences. I have a lot of cultural differences. So I had a lot of energy to put into making sure that people accept me. It should have been easier if it was two sides, that people welcome me. I didn't feel welcome at all. The fact that there are demonstrations, people against me, I just feel, why am I here? But as Ofran rightfully said, most of us succeeded because of character. Succeeded because of character and determination, perseverance. I believe that perseverance conquers all difficulties. I decided to fight against the system. I took 7 years in the asylum procedure, 7 good years without a status. From one RZC to another, almost whole of Holland. They would just come one day and say, Babah, you have to move tomorrow. Take your bags. I take my bag to another RZC. The next time again, I will move to another RZC until I reach in Groningen. That's where I ended. And Groningen, I decided to study. And I did study. I did have my diplomas. But I did it with my own money because I was not allowed to go to school. So the pocket money they give to me weekly, I took from that to pay my own school fees. That's why I'm talking about character. It's very, very important to have the right character. And now, in my own life, I try to give back to those young refugees who are coming. I give training with New Dutch Connection. I try to tell them my story, try to empower them not to make the same mistake I made. Because now we have lots of critical people against asylum seekers. But the difference with my own time and now is that in my own days, there were no Facebook and no Twitters. Now people sit on their internet and they commit the most crimes, the highest crimes against humanity on internet. The crimes, what I read on internet is so devastating. You cannot compare with real life. In those days, if you are against me, you can come out to say, I'm against you. But now, the faces are hidden behind social media. And we all get worried. We all get worried. But those faces, most of them don't come out. We can talk about one of our parties here, most of us like the PFF, I think. We all like the PFF, I suppose. But I have never seen somebody who says, I vote for the PFF. Until one day, my neighbor, mistakenly, his wife told me that her husband voted for the PFF. And it's a neighbor who I have very good connection with. I could not believe my eyesight. I said, what? He said, yeah. So I decided to talk to him. I said, why? Then he told me, yes, I work in the shop and those Moroccan guys, they come here and they abuse me. Well, that's the only reason. Yeah, that's the only reason. You see. So what I'm saying is that we have reached a point, and in my own life, I did go through a lot of hurdles to reach where I am today. But we should not forget that we have a lot of people whose voices are not heard. Not that they don't have voices, they have voices. But those voices are never heard. And those voices, I stand here today to defend. Just like you. Thank you very much.